open for business. And with me is Attorney Pastor Reyes, Senior Partner of the Reyes Francisco Tecson, Sabado and Associates, and the District Governor of Rotary District 37. Thank you for coming, Governor.
My pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sir, there's a lot of talk about good governance, and of course we cannot really, and a lot of things about sustainability.
Yes.
And with the leading humanitarian organization in the world, I'm sure that with your experience, good governance is one of the things that you espouse. But before I ask you about good governance, I also learned in your very credible CV that you practice law. How do you now relate your law practice with good governance?
The law practice requires discipline. Lawyers, particularly like me, who are in litigation or in corporate law practice, we operate within a certain procedure, established structures and processes. So we have to follow the principles of good governance so that we can be effective in delivering the service that are required by our clients, and at the same time try to achieve justice for them.
When you say principles of good governance, what are these that you wanted to highlight?
First is accountability. That's number one, and transparency. And at the same time, effectiveness and efficiency. And also it should be a conscious effort to fight corruption. So what is ethical and what is good is always good for society, good for our clients. And so I find it a good foundation for us who are in Rotary to practice good governance and ethical leadership.
It's very interesting, Governor, because I attended one of the business forums. As a matter of fact, that's one of my report, and they say that there are two things that they have passed already: the ease of doing business, and that's the reason why the president rushed it, because of transparency and accountability and getting rid of corruption. Now, sir, I know, Governor, that yours is really into community service. You are now devoting a lot of time into community service above self, as you say in the Rotary. So, what are your, the tenets that you have, the main drive that made you really, try to, set back with your, set aside your corporate world, and then
temporarily.
Temporarily. So, what's in it? What drives you? Why?
Well, if you are in Rotary and you imbibe the spirit of Rotary, you cannot prevent yourself from wanting to share yourself, share your time, talent, and treasure, following the tenets, the principles, and beliefs of Rotary, which is to do service above self. So the entire focus and mission that you have is to provide what are needed by society. There's so much concern yet, and problems that we face, and it is, I think, through Rotary that there's the power and the scope that can make lasting change and make real solutions to the problems that we have. So in my district, so we look at our communities in Quezon City. So we establish alliances, partnerships with the school, with the barangays, local governments, so that we are able to maximize the resources that we have and address. And I heard earlier you mentioned the causes of Rotary. So those are the areas that we work in to deliver the community service that we want.
But Governor, that's very broad, the causes of Rotary. So in your case, let's zero into Quezon City. I'm sure that before you implement any specific program or project, you would have to look at the profile of and the sustainability condition of that specific
Yes.
locality in Quezon City. What have you seen there that you think mirrors the Philippine society?
Well, practically in all the causes of Rotary, clubs are, asked to undertake projects that address all of this. So we follow the principle that there must be an assessment of the actual needs of the communities. It's not what we think they need,
Yes.
but actually what they really need. So,
So how do you do that, Governor? You immerse yourself?
Yes, of course. First, we have established alliances or partnerships to MOAs with
Okay.
all public schools, elementary and public high schools in Quezon City, as well as all the barangays.
Okay.
So we get to them, we meet them, and we discuss what possibly their needs are and what we can offer them as a solution. So that is from providing assistance from scholarships to health, to improvement of the school, to improvement of the schools, the skills of the teachers, and providing support to the indigent students who do not sometimes have breakfast or meals in going to school. From their eyes to their mind and to their health, we take care of that. So we have missions, we have medical missions, dental missions, literacy projects. We have arts, we have sports activities. So it's a whole holistic approach, trying to elevate the quality of education and the health and the molding of these students to become basically good Filipinos.
Speaking, Governor, of good governance, as you mentioned earlier, it's about accountability and transparency. So with all these initiatives, what are your measurements? How do you measure the impact of this social activities?
Actually, Rotary International is actually a very broad and complex structure.
Okay.
It's even more complex than ordinary stock corporations. Would you believe? Worldwide, Rotary has about 35,000 clubs.
Wow.
And if you consider that as equivalent to branches, if you are a bank and you have 35,000 branches all over the world in 200 countries, imagine the impact that you can do with the 35,000 presidents who you can consider as branch managers. And all of this
Yes.
follow certain areas and focus and plans and programs. So I'm glad to say that Rotary actually asks us to make reports of what we do. So you can
Wow.
actually measure the volunteer work that we do. For example, last year, it was reported that we had 16 million hours of volunteer work done during that year worldwide. That if you multiply that by $7, which is the minimum in the United States, but the one who does all of these are executives. These are professionals.
Yes.
These are community leaders. So it's not just $7. If you multiply that, say, by $40 and $50 per hour, you have $100 millions of dollars only in volunteer work.
Wow.
Excluding the financial assistance, the goods that we give to the community. So the impact is there. You can actually measure the impact that Rotary and the Rotary Foundation does for communities all around the world.
Yes, and when you do that, is there a mechanism of reporting? One of my mentors, Miss Marilyn Lagniton, shared this accountability, transparency, where every project is reported. What's the mechanism in terms of reporting? Do you is there a website? Is there online participation? Can you describe that mechanism?
It's actually, as in all other districts, the district requires monthly reports, monthly accomplishment reports.
Okay.
So there's a template, and not only do you fill the data, the beneficiaries, the hours, and you can put the economic value. But more important than that is we measure the impact. Because projects are supposed to be sustainable.
Yes.
And that is the real role of good governance, sustainability. Rotary has been around for over 100 years.
You're right.
So it's very conscious of the need to have good governance. Imagine you have the Rotary International, you have the districts, and then you have the zones, 34 zones, and then you have the 35,000 clubs that you administer. So if you don't have a reliable, stable framework and have the principles of good governance, you will not have the impact that you want. And
That's right.
And the effect
That's right.
of that is, there must be mutual from the members to the non-Rotarians or the community outside of Rotary must have the trust that what we do really have an impact. The donations that are raised by the Rotary Foundation runs to hundreds of millions a year.
Wow.
And it is not just the Bill and Melinda Gates that give us millions of dollars, including governments. The United States, the UN, Australia, they give hundreds of billions of dollars for a particular cause, and that is the eradication of polio. Imagine how much Rotary has spent, about
How much? For
2 point something billion.
That's for polio,
Just polio alone.
I see. So
Just for polio alone.
there's a different budget for education,
Yes,
for
right, for
hygiene,
grants, for
Okay.
scholarship. And in particular to polio, they have measured that they have eradicated 99.9%
Wow.
of the disease in all countries of the world except two, that's in Pakistan and Afghanistan, principally because of the war in that area.
And is it a continuing process, or there is now a new direction to address another
It's-
health problem?
As far as polio is concerned, it has to be 100%.
Okay.
The last mile has to be accomplished. You know why, Cesar? It's because polio can easily return with a vengeance. Polio is just a one ride away,
I
like one
see.
plane ride away from Afghanistan to the Philippines, and can spread
Okay.
immediately. So it's more difficult and it's more expensive to really stamp out 0%, and you have to
I
wait
see.
for 3 years for the World Health Organization to measure that there's no incident, not a single incident of polio all around the world for 3 years before they certify that the world is free from polio, and that would be the only second human disease that have been eradicated.
Wow.
And thanks to Rotary, thanks to Rotarians and the supporters of Rotary.
My last question, Governor, before we go into a break. You mentioned earlier about sustainability. A lot of, I interviewed a lot of CEOs here already, and they always talk about sustainability, under the guise of corporate social responsibility and sometimes philanthropy. So, in your case, in choosing a project specifically in Quezon City, how do you measure or how do you determine that this specific project for a specific school, for example, is sustainable?
Yes. There are, the nice thing about Rotary is it is so sophisticated that it has so many manuals and guidelines of doing one project to the
Okay.
other. With respect
So they call it now playbooks.
Yes, they
in
have-
the
they have
corporate
the
world.
books, yes.
Okay.
But we are encouraged to take these guidelines and suit it to the community that we serve, because you have to
Wow.
take the cultural nuances
Yes.
for each community. So when you say how do we measure, how do we prepare for sustainability, one is that we have to have an interaction with the people where we are supposed to serve, because they know what they need. You have to talk to the stakeholders in the community and make sure that when you have the project would be the project that they want to do. So they have to own the
Yes,
project
correct.
to make it sustainable. And because when Rotary leaves the community and undertake other service projects, the tendency is that project will die on its
Yes.
But if there are stakeholders in the community that will continue and make sure that this is the project that they want, that they benefit from, we're sure that that thing is going to be sustainable.
That's great. More about good governance, sustainability, and corporate social responsibility when Open for Business returns. Stay with us. Open for Business is back, and with me is Governor Attorney Pastor Mar Reyes. Sir, there's a lot of non-profit organizations like you, but of course you're the leading humanitarian organization in the world, and the tendency is that, especially when we talk about accountability, transparency, we mentioned earlier about the corporate structure.
Yes.
So what is it that organizations, businesses can learn about the corporate structure of the Rotary, especially in the implementation and execution of projects? What is it that is ideal that even if you're composed of 1.3 million leaders and businesses, they can still track each project and account for it?
Yes. Rotary now is really so advanced in terms of governance that aside from the usual strategic planning, you've heard this probably in most
Yes.
corporations.
Yeah, and we just did one.
Yes.
Okay.
There's the vision of Rotary International. There's the mission statements, and districts have their own vision. We pattern it from the RI vision, RI mission, and the clubs are asked to do their own visioning.
Okay.
So every year there's a presentation with the new governor visiting. We call it the governor's visit. The clubs have presentation of their particular plans and programs, and the governor must make sure that those plans and programs are aligned with the thrusts of Rotary International and the district. We're all going towards the same direction to make sure that the impact and the delivery of service is there.
Okay.
And what makes that sustainable is that clubs are measured twice a year. We have a mid-year review.
Okay.
So in the mid-year review, the district officers and the governor take a look at the accomplishments. Aside, they submit monthly accomplishments, but we make sure that the direction of their work is towards Rotary work that we have planned. And towards the end of the year, there is again that review of how far the clubs have accomplished.
Wow.
And this is
Is there also an incentive, like who?
Yes.
Okay.
no,
So
but this is not monetary incentive.
okay, what are the
But these are
incentives?
very coveted awards,
Like?
the district awards.
Okay.
We give awards like most outstanding club, most
I see.
outstanding president, most outstanding club in club administration, most outstanding club in the Rotary Foundation programs. So there's a lot of an array of categories where we give the awards and recognition, and this I think is inspired and motivated Rotarians. These are even more valuable than getting bonus, I think. So you
Okay,
will
yes,
understand why Rotarians and district leaders are so much into Rotary, because they feel happier when you help somebody and you see the impact of your help, improving lives, providing livelihood to the poor, alleviating poverty. You support education, you improve health. The satisfaction and happiness is sometimes more than the monetary awards that you receive. When you go to work and receive your pay, it's because you have spent time to your job. But in Rotary, this is all voluntary. So the commitment must be there.
Yeah, that's very inspiring, Governor. But let me backtrack a bit. What what was your first exposure with Rotary? Was it? I'm sure it's not intentional that Okay, you woke up one day and then you joined Rotary. What were what was your story? Speaking of your story, aside from, if you can also discuss, there are a lot of non-profit organizations. So why the Rotary?
Yes. Well, it's a slow immersion, I would say.
Okay. Okay.
I was invited to Rotary by my colleagues in the profession, lawyers,
Okay.
who are already Rotarians.
Mhm.
And when I walked into the first Rotary meeting, I saw that the atmosphere is different. No,
Okay.
and my club is the Rotary Club of San Francisco del Monte.
Okay.
And I could see there's some formality.
Mhm.
They were serious about what they do in Rotary work, and so I said, I think that it may be a good idea to join. But when I joined, I was not immediately engaged, doing service projects.
Okay.
It took me about a couple of years before I started to join humanitarian service projects, and that
Okay.
is where I see the impact. Now, when you see a beneficiary like someone who has been we have surgery missions. When you see an indigent who cannot afford surgery, but it's a life-changing surgery that you do, so that the person can go back to work, can have a normal life, and you can see how much they cry, the shedding of tears of joy. That affected me so much. I think that this is a good cause to join. And I think that it makes you a better person when you see perspective of people who need our help, and we respond to our social obligation that we should improve the world in which we live in.
So there are a lot of stories, a lot of experiences of the marginalized
Yes.
sector, and I'm sure that with the sustainability efforts that your organization is doing, you focus on those. So my question is the criteria. Like, say for example, a club would choose a specific school. Is there a specific criteria that Rotary has to ensure that this organization or school or any institution is deserving of that?
Yes. We in Rotary in our district, the first thing that I think we decided to work on and do our service is we went to the public sector, the public elementary and public high schools. The difference between an elementary private school and a public high school. So we thought that this is where Rotary can make an intervention, and uplift them,
Correct.
to serve them, have better education. So Rotary goes into areas where there is really a need.
Okay.
We look at society, and we look at sectors in society where there is not much attention given, whether by other private organizations or government. So we are into to work where it matters to people who have the least in life.
Okay. Interesting. And sir, what amazes me with this organization also is that it attracts a very diverse profession and sector and industry. This was introduced to me again by my mentor, Marilyn Nagniton, when I was reporting to her at the St. Luke's because she was vice president of St. Luke's, and she was in the healthcare business. And when I checked the profile of the other members, they represent construction, law. What exactly is the mechanism in which you invite members in the organization?
Yes. It all started when Rotary was established. The forebears thought that the strength of a Rotary club or Rotary in general is on diversity.
Okay.
So a club is required by our constitutional documents to have members of diverse occupations and backgrounds, and there's a limit, in fact, for an equivalent number of members. You cannot have, let's say, more than 5 or 10% of lawyers. You cannot
Okay.
have a club where all the members are lawyers, all the members are engineers.
Oh, I
So there's
see.
a limit, and the recruitment requires that you have to have diverse members, because the strength there is that diverse perspectives of different, backgrounds have a better look at how to solve a problem.
Okay. When you say a limit, is that in terms of percentage? Like X number, 10
yes, yes.
What's the
so
limit
if you
like?
have, for example, you have 50 members, you cannot have more than 10% lawyers of the same
I
profession.
see.
You cannot have more than 5.
But,
So
but
this is what is called the classification principle. No?
Okay.
When you get in, Rotary is basically an organization club that is based on classification. You come in, you have to have a classification. So in case you join Rotary, you'll be classified as a media practitioner.
Okay.
So you bring in your talents, your expertise, and that is where what we call the vocation that you have. You extend in the service your own vocation.
And your classification was international law, am I
No,
right?
it's a practice of law, corporate and litigation.
Okay, corporate and okay, Governor. There is a lot of course, there's a lot of inspirations that we get from, and being exposed to all this diversity and all this talk about service.
Yes.
What really inspires you now? And aside from your inspiration, I'd like to ask also about your future plans for the district. Of course, you'll be serving a year. You have a
Yes.
1-year term, Governor,
Yes,
correct?
yes, right,
So,
right.
what would be the plans of your inspiration and the plans for the district?
Well, the theme for our year is "Be the Inspiration."
Whoa!
So exactly.
Okay.
we're
I didn't know
supposed-
that, and this is exactly something that we're doing. Okay.
Yes. We are supposed to be inspired by who we are and what we do, and from there we are supposed to inspire others around us. My inspiration is the change that we do in our society. That is my inspiration, and that makes us individually happy. But the thing that I'm looking now as a governor and finishing my term is to make sure that we stick to our plans and programs. We have a district strategic plan. This is our 2nd year.
Okay.
So we are supposed to work with the succeeding leadership to make sure that our programs and plans are sustainable. Will continue to run as we have planned. Until we have to review and change again our strategic plan.
Governor, there's a lot of non-Rotarians also who are watching, and there's a lot of entrepreneurs, startups, and CEOs. So I'd like to get your view on how you inspire them in terms of good governance. What is it that you want to advise to entrepreneurs, startups, and any business leader for that matter in terms of good governance?
Well, we always have to start with a vision.
Okay.
I think you have to set the vision and craft your mission statements, and from there you can craft your strategic plans. Know your core values, know the tenets and principles upon which you stand, and from there it requires a lot of grit, perseverance and passion, working hard towards moving towards your vision. And that to me applies to all, whether it's in Rotary or in a stock or profit organization. So I think that's my short message to those in the corporate world. If you are not yet a Rotarian, maybe you can consider to join us, no? Because the expanse and beauty and power of Rotary. When you start your giving, paying back to society, the multiplier effect of Rotary is so much, and we can have a bigger impact than if we are to do it alone.
Wow, that is very inspiring, Governor. I think we have a question here. So, okay.
It's a
Yes.
biking, yes.
Yes.
Marilyn wants me to campaign for participation in our. It's a celebration of 100 years of Rotary. Would you believe in the Philippines?
Wow.
SR?
Yes.
This year, it's a 100 year of Rotary in the Philippines, and we want to celebrate the good deeds that Rotary has done to us. So we're going to have the big public image project celebrating the 100 years of Rotary tomorrow, starting at 6:30 in Arcovia City. And at the same time, it's also the World Polio Day celebration.
Okay.
What we did to try to eliminate polio, there's going to be professional bikers, celebrities, seasoned bikers riding the 100 kilometers from Clark to Arcovia.
Okay.
So hopefully some will join us tomorrow in Arcovia City.
That's very interesting. And also, before, because Governor Mar Reyes also mentioned about that activity, I'd like to invite the district to also attend and join the EBC Fun Run that's going to be on November 18. There's a fun run. At the same time, there's a concert after that. So I'd like to invite your team, the district, to, let's be one big family there.
Yes.
You can register anywhere. I think there are specific areas, but you can be, registration can be found here at the EBC headquarters.
Yes. Where will the event be held?
The event is going to be at the Philippine Arena. It's going to be at the grounds at the Philippine Arena.
Yes.
So maybe we can ask a busload of Rotarians to go there, and it's going to be a very, very exciting event.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll be back in a bit, but right now I'd like to thank again Governor Mar Reyes for coming over, and of course a special shout out to my mentor, Miss Marilyn Lagniton, for making this guesting happen. Our term of the week and our quote of the day when Open for Business returns. Stick with us.
Yes.
Open for Business is back. In our term of the week, you take a refresher of business terms to make you updated, more informed, and ready to make smarter business decisions. Our term of the week is social responsibility. According to Investopedia, social responsibility is the idea that businesses should balance profit-making activities with activities that benefit society. It involves developing businesses with a positive relationship to the society in which they operate. Additionally, some investors use a company's social responsibility, or lack thereof, as investment criteria. As such, dedication to social responsibility can actually turn into profits, as the idea inspires investors to invest and consumers to purchase goods and services from the company. Put simply, social responsibility helps companies develop good reputations. In general, social responsibility is more effective when a company takes it on voluntarily as opposed to being required by the government to do so through regulation. Social responsibility can boost company morale, and this is especially true when a company can engage employees with its social cause. We end our webisode with a quote of the day. And our quote of the day is from Paul Percy Harris, who was a Chicago, Illinois attorney who founded Rotary International in 1905. He said, "Ignorance is a menace to peace." Join us again next Saturday, 5 p.m. Philippine time for another episode of Open for Business, where we discuss business information, deliver the latest business news to keep you informed and open for business, and be ahead of the curve from vision to action. You're on Facebook Live on Eagle News, and you can watch us again in the video section of Eagle News Facebook page and on the digital channel eaglenewslive.com. Also visit postinglive.com for news and updates on Open for Business. Catch me later at 9 p.m. and every Wednesday also at 9 p.m. on Net25's Eagle News International as I report more business news here and around the world. For Open for Business, this is Cesar Vallejos. Have a great day.